But first, a word from our sponsor. Today's Deprogrammed episode is brought to you by exercise. That's right. Regular exercise has been shown to help boost energy levels and enhance your mood. It may also be associated with many other health benefits, both physical and mental, including a reduced risk of chronic disease. Exercise is defined as any movement that makes your muscles work and requires your body to burn calories. There are many different types of exercise, including walking, running, swimming, tennis, weightlifting, and breakdancing, to name a few. Exercise may even help you live a longer and more fulfilling life. And the best of all, it's absolutely free. That's right. If you're listening to this, you can benefit from exercise for absolutely free. All you need to do is go outside and run or walk to enjoy all the physical, mental, and spiritual benefits of exercise. And for an unlimited time, don't forget to think my promo code, Thank You God, to enjoy all the added psychological benefits of practicing gratitude at no extra cost. Hello and welcome to a live Deprogrammed with Keri Smith. Today is Friday, August 16th. Just a quick announcement. If you are in the Texas area, my husband's band, Los Diablos Tejanos, is playing a show tomorrow night at the Odeon, the historic Odeon Theater in Mason, Texas. And it's going to be great. I'm very excited for it. It's this beautiful old theater, and they have, I think there's 150 seats, and we've sold about 100 tickets. So there's still some seats left. And if you're in the area, you should come out and see. It's going to be a really special one. So you can find out more info at anthonygarciamusic.com. Okay. I did sell. How'd you guys like the new sponsor, Lily of the Valley? Keri did sell out the big exercise. I just had fun doing that. I didn't know if anybody else would think it was funny, but I always have these fake ads in my head that make me laugh, and I was just laughing too hard about it. So I made that because one of the true crime podcasts I watch and love, but she has a lot of branding. She's a very big channel. She has a lot of ads that she reads, and she always has promo codes and stuff. And one of the new ones she's doing is for these diet pills. And I was just driving thinking about it. Like, it's just, you could also just exercise. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to try and when things make me laugh, maybe cut a few more of those kind of fake ads. Anyway, yes, exercise it's entirely free, believe it or not. And you just have to think my promo code. You don't even have to use it. It's a special unlimited deal. So welcome. Let me know if my volume's okay. I've had some comments recently about the volume level. So it's good to see a lot of you familiar faces. Hey, Shagsworth. Hey, Brahma, Pirate, Dion. Therese, exercise is racist. I would have a racist sponsor like exercise, right? So today's topic's a little heavy. And if you pray, say a prayer for me that I'm able to articulate this clearly and also without anger. I've been a little angry lately at some of the stuff that's happening on the world stage, and more angry than usual because I find it disgusting what they're doing, how they stuff we talked about on this show all the time. And I'm sure you've seen on other shows, like on my friend Josh Slocum's Disaffected. But the way in which these sociopaths and psychopaths, these communists, these fascists, the ways in which they subvert the truth through projection, the ways in which they accuse their enemy of all the things that they are, which is called DARVO, deny and reverse victim offender. It's a tactic that people with cluster B personality disorders use, and is a tactic that people on the modern left that they use. And to watch them engage in projection and to accuse their target of everything that they are, which is racist, evil, sexist, authoritarians, fascists, weird. That's their new one. They have these new psyops they're developing. Weird, when they are literally putting men in women's dresses on the national stage, men who like Jeffrey Marsh, who have built a whole business around grooming children, right out in the open, is being given an invite to the DNC. Weird. That's a funny one to me. You'll notice what they do is they always take so just like they accuse you of all the evil things that they are, they always take any effective and accurate description of them, and they take it and try to put it back on you. So the fact that they are very weird and creepy and the stuff we say about them, they're now purposefully taking this and sending it out as propaganda, as talking points for all of the regime establishment to use this word weird. We'll cover that one in another episode. Today, I want to focus on joy. Now, they also take your positive characteristics. Sociopaths do this too. Psychopaths do this too. Narcissists do this too. They try and take the positive attributes and character traits of their enemy and claim those as their own. And I want to thank Brahma Bull, who's in the chat, because I had seen the weird psyop in progress, but I had not yet seen the joy psyop, and he pointed it out to me, and I was just astonished at how much manipulation, evil manipulation they're doing around this word. The balls on these sociopaths to try and say that the Kamala Harris campaign is about joy, full of joy, right? Let me just show you, if you're here from the left, I may not be addressing you as much today as I usually do. I want to talk more to the people who are already awake, but you're welcome to stay as well. And if you are here, this one's for you. This is a great comparison because a lot of you guys are just in La La Land if you haven't woken up yet. No shade. I used to be in La La Land too. I was in it for 20 years. So it's pretty incredible, though, that you're still in it sometimes. I try to not, judge about how long it takes people to wake up because everybody has their own breaking point. But man, you're in deep if you're still in with all of these obvious tactics lately. It's become very out in the open. This is a great illustration of that. And I just did a sarcastic quote with this post about this. I said, no, the media doesn't program us. What would make you say that? I don't get it. I don't see it. If you're just listening, this is two different Time magazine cover images. The one on the left is when they covered Trump, of course, and it's this disturbing, melting face Trump with no eyes and an open mouth. It's something very dark and disturbing. And they just have one word on the cover that says meltdown. And then if you look on the right, there's this very saintly image that they've created of Kamala Harris. That's very much like Soviet propaganda, communist propaganda. It's very reminiscent of that style of art, if you could call it that, a jet prop. And it's her looking off into the distance with soft colors and a crowd of people around her with signs for her. And it says her moment. That's what they have on the cover. So the reason I put this up is right at the top for anybody on the left. This is the one part for you. How could you not see this? How could you still be in that place of denial like I used to be in? You have such blinders on. You think they're not trying to tell you what to think, to program you, to fill your mind with their opinions, with what they want? When you get into conversations online, I've had a lot of conversations with you guys online lately. I guess this is going to continue until the election. There's been an influx of leftists on my Facebook profile in particular, lately. And you guys can't have conversations. You're not able to. You can't defend any of the things you say. You come in with attacks and insults off the bat. You start with insults. I mean, that's red flag number one. You're not saying anything of substance. You're just starting with an ad hominem fallacy. You start with that. And then if somebody asks you questions about your opinion, you can't back it up. So you go to more childish insults, or I had one really committed guy this week who photoshopped a bunch of pictures of me with vulgar slogans. I mean, that's what you guys do, though. You can't defend your ideas. Do you ever wonder why that is? You're not comfortable and confident in your opinions? I used to be like you. You know why it is? You know why you get uncomfortable when somebody asks you questions about your opinions? Because they're not your opinions. They're not your opinions. You are force-fed everything, and you just suck at the teat of the establishment, of the regime, of corporate media and the government. Like, they tell you what to think. They program you, and you just let them do it. You're an obedient farm animal. So you repeat all the psyops, all the phrases they've given you, and then if somebody asks you a question about it, you freak out. You're not able to articulate why you think that, because you don't think it. You're like a programmed robot. You guys would look at these two covers right here and not even get it. So that was the part for you. And I know some of you are well-meaning. I know that. I know there's two different types. Roughly speaking, there's two different types of people in this woke cult that I was in. I know this. There are the dark ones, the ones with bad intent, the ones who are sociopathic and psychopath. Those people who know what it is, who know it's a power grab, who know that it's Marxism, that it's communism, who know what, or at least they don't care what it is. They just are using it for power. There are those with bad intent, the bad actors, right? There are those. But there are some of you who have good intent. I know, because I used to be one of you. I really believed that woke was what it said it was, that social justice was what it said it was. I thought it was a kind of liberalism, even though it's completely illiberal. You guys, you're still in it because I know you have good hearts. I know you think it's about ending oppression, all the things that the sociopaths in the movement tell you it's about. You believe the lies. You believe it's about ending racism and sexism, even while it turns you into a racist and sexist, you will still say that. You think it's about ending oppression. And now they're telling you it's about joy. And suddenly that's a new word, a foreign word to a lot of the lips of a lot of you, but you're suddenly using it like you're using weird. You do whatever they tell you to do. They are the bad actors in your movement. You are the useful tools. I was a useful tool. There's been a study, Jordan Peterson's, one of his grad students, Brophy, did a study about this a few years ago that I found fascinating. And they tried to break down the personality types. They did it, I think it was based on the Big Five test. And they tried to break down the types of people who were in social justice or woke, my old religion, my old faith. And the one that you guys are in, the ones I'm talking to right now, the ones who are in it, they tried to break down the two types of people in it, and they gave the labels the PC politically correct authoritarians and the PC liberals, the politically correct liberals. That's what they called it. And they found some differences in personality between those two groups, which are very interesting. One of the things is that the PC liberals, Brett Weinstein, he calls them the useful tools. One of the things about the useful tools or the PC liberals is that you guys are more intelligent than the PC authoritarians. You're more intelligent than the bad actors. You have high verbal skills. You are able to articulate their bad ideology, and you are the ones that try and do mental gymnastics to help it make sense, even though it doesn't make sense. And a lot of you are well-meaning. You score high in openness. You have big hearts, a lot of you, I think. You buy the lies. You're used by the bad actors in this ideology, by the PC authoritarians. The PC authoritarians, they have a lot of personality traits in that study, if I'm remembering it correctly, that are very similar to what you see in right-wing authoritarians. They have a high disgust sensibility, which correlates with being racist and sexist towards different groups of people. They're not as articulate as you guys, but you let them run you around. You let them own you and tell you what to say and think, and you let them make you work for them and try and do intellectual gymnastics to make it make sense. They use you to try and intellectualize why racism is okay. You guys are the ones who come up with all of their crazy circular reasoning, the crazy things like, oh, well, we've redefined racism. That's why it's okay. That's why it's okay to do this, because it's not racism anymore, because we redefined it to prejudice plus power. They use you guys. You are the useful tools. Or, if we're talking about a different period of history, I think you were also called the useful idiots. Useful tools is kinder. You are tools. You are being used. Okay. So let's get into it. I just wanted to show you, before we jump into the full feet into the joy thing, just a couple of crazy things from I saw this week from the Kamala Harris campaign. Here's one of them. Now, this was confirmed. You may think this is crazy, because I had to look this up to make sure it was real, and it is real. There's a couple of news articles about it, mainstream sources as well. You can go and find it. This is from the Harris for President website, and if you try, and they have a place on there where you can apply to work on the campaign, and when you apply to work, you can submit your resume, right? Full name. And then after you submit the resume, this part pops up right here. There's a lot more on there too, and it's covered in one of the Fox News pieces, I think, all the other screenshots. But here's one of the screenshots. This is real. You get to choose from a selection of 9 pronoun combinations. Not 1, not 2, not 3, 9. You get 9 choices. And I was reading this and it just made me laugh, because it's like he, him, she, her, they, them, Z, them, Z with a Z, her, Z, her, EM, her, HIR, her, fey, fur, and hoo. This woman is trying to become president, and she is pushing this woke cult nonsense. This is the world we're in now. We are in the dystopian novels. We are in it fully. Back when I was in woke, I wanted it to be successful, but I could never have imagined the ideology becoming this success. I could never, if you had told me that in a few short years, the presidential candidate for the Democratic Party would be putting this bullshit, excuse my language, this nonsense on their website. Fey fur, who, which are you? Like, what? And you guys, some of you you're gonna vote for this crap. This is what you're voting for, and you can't see it. Oh no, the world's not controlled by a woke cult. What do you mean? I don't see it. What? But anyway, I was reading it, and the immediate song that popped to mind with all this her, em, who was the 50s song, Witch Doctor, of course, because the witch doctor would tell you that these are your pronouns. And so I just shared it with ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ting, ting, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ting, ting, walla, walla, bing, bang. Do you remember that? Why didn't she put these pronouns on there? Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. I don't know which of those I would pick. Maybe bing, bang. Such nonsense. This is the dystopia we're in. This is where we're at in 2024. This is just, it's just madness. Here's another bit of madness I saw this week. Again, This is the part and parcel of the woke cult of the Kamala Harris party. What used to be a liberal party, or I used to think it was a liberal party. This was a headline. Top cancer charity apologizes for using the word cervix instead of the trans-friendly front hole. Yeah, because if you're a cancer charity, one of the top cancer charities in the world, and you are counseling and trying to help women who have cervical cancer, your number one concern needs to be making sure you say front hole cancer to these women, so that you are Orwellian and ideologically correct, and that you are serving your sociopathic Marxist masters. Absolutely disgusting. I try and maintain a sense of humor about all this, to maintain a sense of joy, which we're about to talk about. So even with this, I did like a humorous caption. I like the sarcasm. What do you mean we're living in a woke cult society? I can't see it. Where is it? Well, here it is, honey. Here it is. Are you okay with this? Those of you with good intent who are in the woke world, and you're okay with this? This Orwellian nonsense? Hoo-hoo, front hole? Just a couple more things. I'm getting to the main topic, the joy topic, but in the real world, while they're trying to sell us on how joyful Kamala is, and how we've built back better, it's so much better. Remember a few weeks ago we covered this new stat that came out that said the amount of money that you have to make per year to own a house in 2024, it's increased 89% or something since 2020, 80% since 2020 in the past 4 years. So many middle-class people priced out of being able to afford a home in the past 4 years, while this communist regime has been in office. Well, look at this. This is from Libs of TikTok. The price of groceries skyrocketed since Kamala Harris took office. Can you handle another 4 years of this? Look at this. The gray line is grocery prices. The blue line is overall prices. I mean, they both skyrocketed, but look at groceries. And we just looked at a headline from The Atlantic in the last episode where they were mocking us, the regime, the corporate press. They were mocking the people and saying, quit complaining about inflation. And no, the headline was inflation is your fault. That's what the headline was, remember? And they were mocking people and saying, quit complaining about inflation and high prices. It's your fault for buying expensive things like groceries and gas. Yeah, they certainly are expensive things now in the past 4 years. This is the real world. These are real world consequences. One of my friends who's based, an older gentleman, a lovely person, I saw he had shared something about this crazy Kamala campaign. I can't even remember what it was. But in the comments, a leftist was attacking him and was taunting him. And like I said, they can't defend their opinions. They have no opinions of their own. And normally I don't jump in on other people's things unless I see a friend who's being bullied. I can't stand it. And sometimes I can't hold my tongue. And this person said, to my friend, why don't you ever list out Trump's accomplishments, huh? Why do you just criticize Kamala, huh? Here's a list of 11 of Kamala's accomplishments. And I looked at it and I could tell immediately it was copied and pasted. It had little asterisks beside each one. And I was like, the way it was written like campaign propaganda. Like this person didn't sit and write out like, here's the things I think are the accomplishments of Kamala Harris. Like this did not come from that person's head. Yes, to go back to what I said at the beginning, these are not your opinions, leftists. And this person put these 11 accomplishments, and I did a quick Google search and found that this is everywhere on the internet, this list of 11 accomplishments. It's on the White House website. It's on the Harris for President campaign site. It's on numerous Democrat websites. And so these morons are going and just copy pasting this and putting it into things like that to taunt others. And this, I wouldn't have said anything except that this person continued to taunt my friend and say, like, I've already given you a list of 11 things I think are Kamala's accomplishments. Why can't you list any, huh? Why can't you list any? And I had to jump in and say, excuse me, are you trying to say that our mutual friend here, that he doesn't know how to copy and paste from a campaign website? Is that what you're saying? You're taunting him to do the same thing you just did. These are literally copied from these are not your opinions. So what? You want him to go and do the same thing, and then what does that prove? Oh, you both know how to copy and paste. I can assure you he knows how to copy and paste. He can go to Trump's campaign site and copy and paste. What is that? That's not a conversation. I can copy and paste. Why can't you? Well, okay, I can too. Now where? You people are, again, help me with my anger here. You're stupid. That is stupid. I was much kinder in the comments, though, because this is a mutual friend of ours, and, I want to respect his friends. So I just said, you copy, can you articulate some things that you think are accomplishments from the Harris campaign? All you did was copy and paste this list from a campaign site. Here's some things off the top of my head that I think are accomplishments of Trump, since you're asking for that. And I just rattled off like 6 or 7 of the things I think are the most important to me. At the top of that list was him banning DEI, diversity, inclusion, equity, banning that. And with his executive order in the federal government, and of course, Biden overturned that. Sending troops to the border, that was another one. I mean, these are things that actually mean something to me. And I'm able to tell you these things off the top of my head, because these are my opinions. Mine. I don't have to go to a Trump website, and I don't want to go to a Trump website and copy paste what they're saying. I want to tell you what I think. And so I shared that with this person and said, here's 6 or 7 things off the top of my head that I'm happy that he did. No new wars. That's important to me, aside from the Syria strike, which I disagreed with. Banning, doing a temporary ban on travel from China at the start of COVID, even though that caused the sociopaths like Biden and the Democrats to call him a racist and call him a xenophobe. That was back when they were still saying COVID was nothing. And he's a racist for banning travel from the place where COVID came from, for doing a temporary ban on travel from that country. I thought that was great leadership. And then I also listed a couple things I disagreed with him on for this person, like him promoting Fauci. And he wasn't strong. He didn't come out strongly against lockdowns and mandates. So these are my opinions. And this leftist, and I guess I still am talking to you if you're here, you guys can't do that. I've talked to countless leftists. You can't do that. And I asked this person, and they were like, what's your point? Are you trying to accuse me of plagiarism? I was like, you don't get the point. They said, I didn't copy it from the Democrats website. I copied it from the White House website. Yeah, that's, gosh. Yes, you copied and pasted other opinions that you can't even say. They're probably not even in your head. If somebody took your phone away from you, you wouldn't be able to remember a single thing on that list. You don't speak your own opinions. And I said to them, like, why don't you, like, become familiar with what you think? And I'm really asking you again, can you please tell me what you think are the Kamala Harris accomplishments? Tell me what they are. I may still disagree with you outright, but at least I'll respect you more because this is coming from your mind. These people are brainwashed. I'm going to show you one more thing, and then we're getting to joy. Look at this. This is from Colin Rugg. Breaking: the Harris campaign is editing news headlines on Google search ads to make it look like reputable news sites are giving her favorable reporting, according to Axios. These are the same people who accuse the right of misinformation. The news sites include The Guardian, Reuters, CBS News, and others. So it's not enough that all the corporate media already shills for them and does the bidding of the regime. They also have to make up the specific headlines they wish they had and make it look like, look, the AP News said this or USA Today said this. These are fake headlines. These are ads. They bought these ads that look like fake headlines, and they're using real news sources. But you can see they have to put there that it's paid for by the Harris for President campaign. Look at all these positive headlines they wrote. They don't even need to do this. They could just take the actual headlines. What liars. Manipulators. So, like I mentioned, my friend Brahmabul mentioned that they're doing this joy psyop now. This is their new one. Look at this. Look at these headlines. Now, there's hundreds of these. Hundreds. This is for the people who are already awake. I'm done talking to leftists. Let me talk to you guys. Every time they do one of these psyops, it's good for us to be aware immediately what they're doing. And like with the weird one, right? This is in some ways the culture war part of this is a war of messaging and of memes. So it pays for us to pay attention to their propaganda and what they're trying to do. So let's just go through a few of these. There's hundreds. Do a search for Kamala Harris joy. Here's the headline of Salon. We're going to jump through this. Bringing back the joy. Kamala Harris rally blows away J.D. Vance's weird appearance across town. This one, Salon gets 2 points for using two of the buzzwords. Do you know what happens? They send out talking point. This is not an accident. Look, there's hundreds of these news headlines now saying joy, 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 and weird, 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 weird. And this is not organic. This is not an accident. They send out the talking points and the media jumps on it immediately. You want to talk about fascism, leftists? This is the government and corporate news colluding to misguide the people, to shaft the people, to con the people. This is fascism. Just like the government, it was revealed in the Twitter files, telling Big Social, it's not just big media, it's Big Social as well, telling Big Social what to censor, what news stories to censor and to take down off their website, because they said it might influence the election, like the Hunter Biden laptop story. They pulled the New York Post reporting on that. Twitter did. Because they were told by the government, by three-letter agencies. The Biden administration told them to censor it. This is fascism. That's what fascism is. I know you guys don't know what words mean. Go look up fascism. That's what it is. I thought fascism is Trump. Like, oh gosh. You don't know anything. Temper down my anger. You guys are the bell curve, the IQ bell curve meme. A lot of you, not all of you, but a lot of you are the more arrogant ones, the dark ones. A lot of you are. You're the Dunning-Kruger effect. You're the ones who are coming in all arrogant. You have an inflated sense of your own IQ, and you incorrectly assess the IQ of people who are smarter than you. And you come in like throwing your weight around. Like an actually intelligent person doesn't have to do that. And then it's quickly revealed you don't know what the frack you're talking about. You can't even define the words you use. You can't even define it. So anyway, I'm sorry. I'm too much. Let's jump through these quickly. I'm too much commentary. I'm just a little riled by this one. Here we go. Bringing back the joy. Kamala Harris rally blows away J.D. Vance's weird appearance across town. So they did a twofer there. They got both of the things they were supposed to get in the headline. Here's another, the Washington Post. Harris and Waltz seize on joyful message in contrast to darker Trump themes. Wow. Wow. Here we go, New York Times. Harris used to worry about laughing. Now joy is fueling her campaign. This is the New York Times, guys. Eminently trustworthy. The New York Times. No, they never won a Nobel Prize for lying about the Holodomor, did they? Yeah, I think they did. I think they've done this before. Look at the Kamala campaign herself. They're putting it out. This is from yesterday, Kamala Harris's Facebook and Twitter. She put out a video, and the caption is bringing back joy, one selfie at a time. Bringing back joy. From the Harris campaign itself. Here's The Guardian. Headline, Democrats, joy is unconfined as Harris and Waltz take upbeat message while on tour. Incredible, right? Here's the AP. Harris is pushing joy. Trump paints a darker picture. Will mismatched moods matter? And look at the pictures they chose. Trump is a darker picture. Kamala Harris is laughing and smiling. It must be joyful, guys. Like, oh my gosh. Here's NPR. Harris and Waltz reintroduced joy to Democrats their first week on the campaign trail. This is the unbiased NPR, National Public Radio, guys. We're unbiased. Wow. Yeah. Reintroduced joy. It's a little weird, right? It's a weird coincidence. They all got this in the title. This is from a French paper. I just wanted to show you an international one because this is everywhere. Again, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of results if you search this in the news in the past few days. Here's from a French paper, opposing campaign strategies. Opposing campaign strategies. Harris joy versus Trump's we are a failing nation. Okay, here we go. LA Times. Wonder what they're going to say. Are they going to say Trump is joyful and Kamala's dark? Oh, no. They say, amid the gloom, doom, and anger, can joy win voters over? Headline, joy? And then they got a picture of Tim Waltz smiling. Now we're about to watch Tim Waltz talk about joy in a really angry, unjoyful way. Give me... here we go. Fast Company. As Vice President Harris brings joy to the presidential campaign, the GOP's taunt. They taunt the joy. They taunt laughing Kamala highlights a long history of disrespecting Black women. Oh, they got to bring race into it. Fast Company went a step further. Let me read that again. I think I mangled it a bit. As Vice President Harris brings joy to the presidential campaign, the GOP's taunt laughing Kamala highlights a long history of disrespecting Black women. They bring racism and sexism into it. There you go. Vanity Fair. Kamala Harris needs to knock Trump in her DNC speech without popping the joy balloon. Kamala Harris needs to knock Trump in her DNC speech, but with joy. Do it with joy, without popping the joy balloon. Still riding a wave of optimism, that's the subtitle. The Veep is expected to forge a personal connection with voters that could insulate her from future MAGA attacks. One top Democratic speechwriter says they were dreading writing the speech for Biden, but, quote, this will be a lot more fun. It's joy. It's not just online and in the papers that they're doing this. They're doing this in TV appearances as well. They're doing it on all the corporate media, all the channels. Here, let's watch. This is supposed to be a comedy show. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. He had a TV anchor on. Now, these are both regime puppets for the media, the corporate media. These are regime puppets pushing Harris. And so Alex Wagner went on to talk about and look at the title of this one. Hold on, I have to remove this in order to get the video to show. Here's the title that Colbert gave it. Colbert called this clip, Alex Wagner on watching Kamala Harris embrace her own joy while Trump fails to define her. Now, playing this necessarily means my video is going to be demonetized because I can never show a Colbert clip without being demonetized. And half the time they try and take the video down also. So I don't care. I'm showing this clip. If they try to take it down, I will appeal. Let's just watch this.
Fantastic. So hey everybody, don't go away. We're back with the anchor of Alex Wagner tonight. Alex Wagner. Kamala Harris, I interviewed her when she was running for president in 2020. I know you did as well.
Yeah.
She seems to have really grown as a candidate. I always enjoyed talking to her, but she seems very comfortable in the top position. What do you think's different about 2020 Kamala Harris and 2024?
You know, there are a couple things. I would say one is she has clearly gained a lot of confidence as the vice president. And I see that most acutely, most tangibly in her joy.
There it is, right out the gate. And that's not all. She continues about the joy. They all get these marching orders. I know this. I used to work in entertainment. I didn't work in news, but I worked in entertainment. I would get marching orders for things to give to my celebrity clients, to the comedians I worked with, to the musicians that my business partner represented, and to the comedians that I represented. We would get the talking points, especially during a campaign season. We would get sample tweets even of things to say. You think they don't do that? They don't send that to the press? Of course they do. It is a script. She said, you know, especially her joy.
And I see that most acutely, most tangibly in her joy. Like, I always knew she was a really joyful, funny person. And whenever I interviewed her, or saw on the campaign trail, which is like a lot in 2020, you would see this difference when you interviewed her on camera, and she would kind of become more serious, and she would sort of play the role of politician more formally.
Yeah.
And what you see now is someone who is embracing her own joy.
Now, why are they not talking about her policies, the record, about the things that you should be evaluating when you're voting for president? It's this entire psyop, a psychological operation, to make you fall in love with her, to convince you that she's a very joyful person, that people are so joyful around her, and that the campaign is joyful. We're going to go into the dark history of doing this, by the way. This isn't the first time this has happened. This isn't the first time that an authoritarian regime has used the word joy in their propaganda to try and claim that. A wolf in shepherd's clothing. That's what these people are. The media talking heads you see right here, whether it's Stephen Colbert or Alex Wagner, these are handmaidens for communism. That's what they are. I've got another clip to show you. This is from, this is a clip of Waltz talking about joy. This angry old man. He's so funny. I saw Cernovich say something about how this, oh wait, no, this is the Joy Reid one. Okay, Joy Reid, also a joyless person. She's on the, do you think she's talking about Kamala's joy? Yes, of course she is. So this is a long buildup where she starts off by talking about how much she loves the movie The Wiz, which I also love. And in my old life, we did, one of the comedians I worked with, we did a parody of The Wiz, which I'm still very proud of. And I got to dance in it. And it was really funny. Anyway, I love The Wiz. Let's watch and see what she says. I'm trying to get right to the part. I don't want to watch the whole. She's talking about this scene of dancing. And here we go.
Breaking the spell and allowing them to feel an emotion they had been denied. Joy. And it's this celebration of freedom from fear and hate that is the high point of the film. at least until Dorothy and them find out that the Wiz is a fraud, but you get the idea. The song that goes with the scene, A Brand New Day, has some really great lyrics. Listen.
We're not going to listen to all of this, but she is using a scene from her favorite film to talk about joy and being freed from oppression, and that's what Kamala Harris's campaign is about, freedom, and they all have joy now, and they're being freed from the oppression of the MAGAs and the Trump, and so yeah, so she's on it too. Here's another clip. Now this is from Sky News, and they are very aware of what's happening with this joy propaganda, and they are calling it out, and they've got the clip. Yeah, this is the clip of Tim Walz angrily talking about his joy. Here we go. Sky News, I hope you're okay with me playing this. You're not going to be like the Colbert Report and strike me.
The remaking of Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris continues at pace, with spin doctors recasting her obvious weaknesses as strengths.
Yes, her nonsensical word salads are an ability to communicate with everyday people, and her hyena-like cackle is the spreading of joy.
All the things that make me mad about those other guys and all the things they do wrong, the one thing that I will not forgive them for is their try to steal the joy from this country. They try.
Can you believe that? Can you believe that reversal? This is absolute sociopathy. Let me talk about this for a second. I have to take a second and talk about this. I have a needle point here that says "Not Today, Joy Eater," and this was made for me by one of our mods. I don't know if she's here today because I haven't looked at the chat yet. Cheeky Mare. I haven't looked at the chat since the beginning. Cheeky Mare made this. It made me so happy. It was because I said this in a podcast a long time ago. You know that phrase, "Not today, Satan," but I call them joy eaters. They are joy eaters, the woke left. Kamala Harris, the woke Marxist left, all of it, Waltz, all of it. They hate joy. They are joy thieves. And they are trying to now do a reversal, do a Darvo, and say, oh, it's the people who oppose us who are joy thieves. No. I'm going to explain why you're a joy thief. It became apparent to me once I left the cult of woke, and I was in it for 20 years. The absolute joy that comes with freedom, the freedom to say the truth, the freedom to pursue truth, to say what you believe to be true without the fear of what they do to you in the woke left, which is to castigate you, to tell you to shut up and sit down, to tell you to check your privilege, to call you a racist and a bigot, to do ad hominem, to call you lies, to call you things that you're not. You know, there's a lot of fear in that cult when you're in it. If you're, I'll speak again to the people on the left. If you're watching, if you're one of the people in it with good intent, you know what I'm talking about. Don't tell me you don't. Every time you write a post on social media, you go back into that post before you hit publish, and you go with your SJW, your woke censor in your head, and you read through everything you said, and you make sure you didn't say something that's going to be potentially triggering. Because you know what happens to people in the cult. You've seen it happen. If it hasn't happened to you, you've seen it happen to friends. You drag each other. I've used this example before, but one of the funniest ones I saw was when someone in my woke cult had posted something on Facebook about, they loved Elizabeth Warren. They said, Elizabeth Warren is my spirit animal. Now you would think the woke cult would be like, yeah, we agree. No, they had just decided recently that spirit animal is now racist. It's cultural appropriation. And so all of this friends, all of her woke friends, all of our mutuals piled on her. How dare you say spirit animal? It's racist. Yeah, like, and I've seen this happen over and over and over again. You eat each other alive in that cult. And oh, God forbid if somebody posts anything joyful, right? You know what you do to each other. I had a friend whose teenage daughter posted something. It was the week that all the wokies were programmed to post black squares on their profile. Must post black square for BLM. Show my solidarity with the movement. right? They were all posting the black square. It's supposed to be a time of somber reflection on their own complicity in white supremacy. And so anyway, my friend's teenage daughter, it was the week of her graduation, and she had posted some very joyful pictures with her grandma at graduation, and they just piled on her. How dare you post something joyful? How dare you post that at a time like this? Where's your black square? How dare you? You know what else it is about the woke cult? Again, if you're in it, you know what I'm talking about. You know. You're not supposed to enjoy holidays like the 4th of July, Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's an oppressive, racist holiday rooted in white supremacy and oppression and the patriarchy. The 4th of July is xenophobic. You know. That woke cult I was in, the journalists in it, they pin op-ed after op-ed in advance of every holiday, Christmas, Thanksgiving, 4th of July, everything that's supposed to bring us together across party lines and unite us. They have to demonize it, suck all the joy out of it. How dare you have joy on the holidays and with your family? They do articles and where they give you advice on how to confront your white male family members at Thanksgiving dinner about their complicity in the white supremacist patriarchy. Gosh, you little joy eaters. You little joy suckers. You are miserable people, and you want everyone else to be as miserable as you. And you prey on the well-intentioned people in woke. Yeah, when they come in, they do have a lot of joy a lot of times. They are joyful people. They do have big hearts. But once you get them in your clutches in that cult, you suck all that joy out of them. Look at my old pictures when I was in it. They uglify themselves. They become little automatons. A lot of them in the woke cult, they're on multiple medications and SSRIs. They're self-medicating with drugs and alcohol all the time. Joy eaters. But what Kamala and Waltz are doing now is they're trying to say, oh, no, it's the people who oppose woke who don't want joy. That's funny. Because it's the woke cult that tries to censor humor, that says you can't laugh at certain things. Try to cancel people. Let's look at some history. Well, first, I'm going to take a quick break and read some of these super chats because I don't want to get behind. And I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys so much for supporting Deprogrammed. You know, I do have a sponsor now. It's exercise, but I appreciate you. And in reality, you guys are my sponsors. You're my sponsors. And like my friend Randy says, value for value. If you value the show, if you value the channel, I appreciate you contributing. And I know that's not possible for everyone, and that's totally fine. Also, my videos will always be free. You can also leave a comment. That helps my algorithm. So, Randy, there he is. Randy for $10. Thank you, Randy. He says, if you care about Keri and the work she does, throw her a couple. He says it in here. Throw her a couple of bucks sometimes. Value for value. Praying for you, Keri. Thank you, Randy. I didn't even know that's what was in your chat. I've just heard you say it enough times now, and I appreciate it, dude. Thank you for the prayers. Right now I'm being inundated with leftists more than usual. I think it's the election season. They're going to be like this for a while. So I don't have a problem with them. Like, they don't intimidate me or whatever. What I have a problem with is I don't want to I don't want what is in them to draw the same kind of thing out of me, right? Like, I don't want to fall prey to what could be an angry nature at times. So pray that I have patience and then I don't. What is the Bible verse about being slow to speak and slow to anger? Yeah, slow to comment. I should be slow to comment. At the same time, I'm not going to let them walk all over me, and I'm going to call them what they are. So, Randy for $2. Joy Behar, Joy Reed, Kamala Joy, I'll pass. Yes, thank you, Randy. I'll pass as well. Doesn't seem to be a very joyful party, does it? John Thomas has been a member for 6 months. Thank you, John Thomas. He says, to be fair, I criticized bad screen caps of the Dems. Oh, I'm not sure what you're talking about here. Is it something to me or to someone else in the chat? Anyway, I'm sorry. Maybe it'll come to me in a second. That one, it might be related to something I said at the beginning. G-Man for $4. Hey, G-Man, thank you for the super chat. He says, quick question. Who's running the country right now? Right? Biden is not well enough mentally. He's not mentally well enough to run for president, but he's mentally well enough to run the country. Makes you think, doesn't it? Another funny thing that I saw this week is some of the leftists said to me, they come into my comments, like I said, and they just spew whatever the talking points are that they've been given. And so one of the other psyops they were given before the weird psyop and before the joy psyop, they were given the we must save our very democracy psyop, right? So so they just come in and like, you guys are against democracy. I'm like, that's funny because you guys just let the elite appoint your presidential nominee without an election at all, without democracy. They just appointed her and you guys are cool with it. So again, you don't even know what these words mean that you're using. You just say what they program you to say. You're against our democracy. Define democracy. They can't even define democracy. John Thomas for $5. Colbert's audience laughs when he says CNN was unbiased. She was big mad. Oh, that's a great clip. I forgot about that. Let me see if I can pull that one up. Actually, I don't know which mods are still here, but if there's a mod who can find that clip, I did tweet about it this week. I think it was Konstantin Kisin is where I saw that clip, and I retweeted him. But it's a clip of I'm going to wait. I'm going to show it to you because if you haven't seen it yet, it's better just to see it. Thank you, John Thomas. If a mod can find that clip and drop it to me in my Twitter DMs, I would appreciate it. Thank you. WG. Hey, WG. For $50. Well, thank you for the generous super chat. Says, this would have been $50.01, but I'm demonetizing it by 1 cent. Because you cursed earlier on this broadcast. Which is total bullshit. Oh, you did it too. Hashtag please do better. Is that's your version of the swear jar, eh? Oh, thank you so much, WG. Truly. And for making me laugh. Savrix. Thank you for the generous super chat for $19.99. Savrix says, the situational gravity of this social cataclysm was seeded centuries ago, and, quote, the bad guys are using the angry blacks and self-guilty whites as revolutionaries to create the, quote, permanent consuming class, end quote, in bondage to Big Daddy Gov. Dude, you are right on the money. You are right on the money. They are using... So this new kind of Marxism... It's not about economics. It's not about class and wealth. This new thing that we call woke, that we call social justice, some people call it identity Marxism. This identity Marxism is based around identity and power rather than around class and wealth. So rather than saying the best way to look at the world is as a struggle for wealth among class groups, this new kind of Marxism, this identity Marxism, says the best way to look at the world is as a struggle for power among identity groups. And they say we have to redistribute the power among groups. That's why we have to be racist and sexist towards people until we can reach this identity utopia, this equity, right? Where all the groups have the same amount of power, which they don't know how to measure and they don't even think about. And so it is Marxism, but it's Marxism mutated. It's Marxism reimagined around identity. They use identity. Identity is the mask. Race and sex and sexuality and all these evolving identity groups, that's just the vehicle. That's the mask. They don't really care about any of that. That's the mask that Marxism is using, that communism is using to destroy our society. Why? Because they couldn't, because it failed when they tried the economic route. Because it failed. Look at the Frankfurt School. All of those Marxists who came here to America, they talked about this openly. They wrote about openly. They can't foment a communist revolution in a successful, flourishing society. They have to destroy that society first. I highly recommend, I know a lot of you do already, but I can't tell you how invaluable James Lindsay and New Discourses are right now if you want to understand this stuff, if you want to understand the theory better. And also, I would recommend my friend Juana, who I've got a tweet of hers pulled up, who's brilliant. Just at helping, you know what Lindsay helped me do recently? For the longest time, I have described woke, my old faith system. I've described it as operating like a religion. I have called it a religion and a cult, but in terms of how I thought about it as it's like a religion. He helped me to understand it actually is. It's not just like a religion. It is a faith system. It is a religion. Marxism is a religion. Anyway, that's a lot of commentary on your super chat. Thank you. But I agree. Frying Pants for $1.99 says, I am speaking. Wait, what was that from? What was that from? It's escaping me right now. Randy, thank you for the $10 super chat. Says weird, joy, etc. are used to sway suburban women. Yes. Important demo where Trump is weak. Yeah, let's be even more specific. They're used to sway suburban white women. Important demo where Trump is weak. The Dems count on this demo making decisions based on emotion instead of logic. Ding, ding, ding. Absolutely right. Hence the ridiculous psyop. Yes. Yes. They do make they decide everything on the basis of emotion. This is a lot of times when I've been interviewed about leaving the woke cult, when people ask me for advice on like, how do you wake people up or how do you reach people who are in the cult? And one of the things I've talked about in the past is that we have to get better, even though I know a lot of conservatives maybe don't want to do this, but we, meaning, more broad than conservatives, let's say any of it, classical liberals, libertarians, conservatives, anybody that's in the based movement, reality based, if you are based in reality, if you oppose this evil woke religion that threatens our very civilization, if you oppose that, right, we have to get better at appealing to emotion. We're great at having all the facts. We're great at being able to articulate arguments to back up our opinions, to form arguments, to give evidence. And that all of that is important because, like I said, they can't do it. They can't do it at all. They don't have the facts. They can't even state their own opinion half the time if they don't have a bullet pointed list in front of them to copy and paste from. They can't explain their reasoning, how they arrived at what's supposedly their opinions. They can't explain it. They can't use reason and logic. They can't do that. So it is good to be able to do all those things. It's better. It's ideal. That's what I want for those people, the ones who have good intent in the cult that I was in. I want them to leave and to discover the joy, the actual joy in looking at things yourself and coming to your own opinions and doing the work, to borrow a phrase of theirs, a cult phrase of theirs, doing the work to actually be able to say, yes, this is my opinion. I want them to experience that. It is freedom. It is freeing. It builds confidence. I want them to experience that. But they don't currently. And they are swayed not by the facts. If you've had conversations with them, you know this. It's really hard to get through to them with facts or with evidence. Most of the time, almost every catchphrase that they're taught in the cult, almost every catchphrase they're taught is built around preventing them from having outside interaction with people not in the cult. They are programmed with these phrases to shut down conversation. The cult programs them to keep them from talking to people who are not in the cult. They program them with things to say. They say things to shut down conversation like, check your privilege. That's your male privilege. That's your white privilege. That's your white fragility. Stay in your lane. You don't get to have an opinion on this. Sit down and shut up and listen to a person of XYZ identity, right? I'm not going to have a conversation with you unless you pay me for my emotional labor. That is really one of the things they say. I'm not going to do free unpaid emotional labor for you by conversing with you. They say that. So all the facts, all the evidence in the world, it doesn't. Look at them right now. Look at them. They are out there arguing. Some of them who are reasonably intelligent. They're out there saying that a man can become a woman. With the Olympics thing and the boxing, man, that was an eye opener to how far in some of my friends are. I just had a back and forth conversation with a friend the past few days who is well-intentioned. I have seen his heart. I think he is a good person, but he is in an evil ideology. Now, to his credit, he's more open-minded than most of them. I think that's owing to his good intentions. And so at least he would have a rational discussion back and forth with me instead of just calling me names. And we're friends, that helps. But it was fascinating because when you're in that cult, you can't base anything on reason or logic. You're not allowed to. It's all based on emotion. So he was basically arguing that, that he said, yes, he believes that sports should be segregated by sex, but that it should not be enforced, that there's no way to define sex or to confirm biological sex. That's not true. That is scientifically untrue. That's not based in reality. And also, it's not based in reason. It's not based in reality because in reality, yes, you can define biological sex and you can prove biological sex. There are tests to do it. The IOC could go back to doing the swab test that they used to do for athletes that they quit doing in 1999. 82% of female Olympic athletes want them to bring the swab test back, but they won't. There are ways to prove. This person was saying there's no way to prove that this guy, he kept calling him a her, which is false. But he was saying there's no way to prove the biological sex. Yes, there is. Number one, they could confirm that he has male genitalia or female genitalia, but they won't because the IOC knows he has male genitalia. So they're not going to come out and say that. Number two, they could show us his testosterone test, but they're not going to because they know he has testosterone in the male range and that male and female ranges of testosterone do not overlap after the age of 14, not even with DSTs. They could show us that he has XX chromosomes, but they're not going to. Why? Because they know he has XY chromosomes. They could show us this. Yes, you can prove biological sex, but they're not going to. And so that was it was kind of fascinating to have this conversation because this is a good-hearted, intelligent person who is telling me we should sex segregate, but sex can't be defined or proven. Okay, so first of all, that's not true. That's not based in reality or science. But second of all, it's not rational. The opinion is not rational. You didn't arrive at that opinion by rational means. And I'll explain why. How did you use reason to arrive at an opinion that we should segregate sports by something that can't be defined or proven? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, we should segregate sports by sex, but I don't know what sex is, and it can't be defined or proven, so it doesn't matter. So how do you do it then? So why should you do it then? Right? That's not a rational opinion. You didn't get there with reason. All of this to say, we have to get better at appealing with emotion. We have to tell the story. Stories pull at the heartstrings. We have to tell the story. We have to appeal to emotion, but with the facts behind us. So we'll have both. I'll give you a good example. There's a book. I wonder if I still have it behind me. There's a book. I read this. It's been a while ago, but in it, let me think of the name. Okay, it doesn't matter. It'll come to me. In it, this guy is talking about how when he was appointed to lead this charity, this nonprofit, and he was in charge of fundraising, and he was very much from the school of thinking of just giving facts. So when he first started, and this was a poverty charity, if I'm remembering correctly, and so he would do, at first, he was appealing to people with facts. He would say, this many people are hungry, this many people are in poverty, this many people, here are all the numbers, here's how much money we need to fund, this operation. Can you give? And that did not work. Nobody cares about a bunch of numbers and facts. And he learned quickly running this charity that he had to tell a story, that he had to put a face to it, that he had to say, this is John, and put up a picture of a little boy who's living in poverty. John's mom does XYZ in the morning just to get him to school. Like, he had to tell the story of this kid, this one person. He had to personalize it, make it emotional. And that's when people started donating. And that's when he was able to fund this charity, was having the facts behind him, but telling the story and doing an emotional plea, speaking to people's emotional mind. Another great book. I can't remember the name of that book. It might come to me in a bit, but another great book that I talk about all the time. I started reading this when I first came out of the woke cult, and I highly recommend it. Even now, even years into this crazy woke madness, this book is so useful. You should read The Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt. We read it in my old book club. Maybe we'll bring it back and read it in Deprogrammed book club again. The Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt. And in that book, the subtitle of that book is Why Good People Are Divided by Politics and Religion. I think that's the subtitle. And in that book, he talks about how almost all of us we all struggle with, some of us struggle and some don't even fight it, but we all tend to make decisions with our emotional mind. Again, some more than others. I think the left, that's all they do. But he said, this is how our mind works. And he lays out the case for this. He said, our mind is like a rider on an elephant. And the elephant is our emotional mind and the rider is our rational mind. And we all like to think that the rider is controlling the elephant, but he's not. It's the elephant controlling the rider. And so most of the time what we do is we make an emotional or gut-based opinion or reaction or decision, and then we try and justify it backwards rationally. And so you definitely should read this book. I think it's very helpful, the time and place we're in right now, and trying to save not just this country, but to save civilization itself. I truly believe that's not hyperbolic. That's what we're trying to do. This book's really helpful to understand the enemy, to understand how they use and manipulate people, and to understand yourself better and to understand people better. G-Man for $5. Thank you, G-Man. Says, is the Joy campaign a response to the video of Kamala saying that we shouldn't say Merry Christmas that's been circulating recently? Pretty unjoyful. Yeah, she was super angry in that clip, right? Very angry that we were saying Merry Christmas. Not very joyful. Mark for $2. Thank you, Mark. Says, the Washington Post called Harris's price gouge plan communist. They did? OMG. Wait a minute. I got to look this up too. Because I would be shocked if they did actual journalism. Wow. Wow. Oh, they're giving her advice in the headline. They're telling her what not to do. Look at this. Wow. Thanks for this, Mark. The Washington Post headline: when your opponent calls you a communist, maybe don't propose price controls. They're basically like, no, they're accurately calling you a communist. Hey, don't do this because this is communist. Maybe don't propose price controls. Subheading: it's hard to exaggerate how bad Kamala Harris's price gouging proposal is. Wow. I'm shocked. Catherine Rampel, good for you. Price gouging is the focus of Vice President Kamala Harris's economic agenda. Her presidential campaign says she'll crack down on, quote, excessive prices and excessive corporate profits, particularly for groceries. So what level counts as excessive, you might ask? To be determined, but Harris will ban it. Don't worry. The government's going to come in and set prices for you. No freedom. You as a business owner don't get to set your own prices. You know, government controls. What they want is they want the public, communists want the public to beg for their own slavery, to beg for our own oppression. They want things to get bad enough that we beg for it, that we beg for the government to control us, to tell us how much money we're going to make, to tell us when we can go outside, to tell us when we can go to work, to tell us when we can turn on our heat and our electricity and what kind of light bulbs we can have. I'm still upset about that. Biden saying that I can't have incandescent bulbs. Yes, it still bothers me. It's none of his business. Wow. That was pretty cool. Thanks, Mark. John Thomas for $5. Thank you, John. Says, I was referring to the Time magazine covers. Oh, when people deliberately pick an unflattering screen cap of Dems off a video, I find it petty and unnecessary. That's true. You can do that on both sides, but I'll be honest, with my screen grabs. So I don't look necessarily for unflattering pictures of Kamala, but I do always show her in one of her stupid communist masks because that's what I think of when I think of her. I guess you could argue that I should have shown her cackling today in the screen, in the thumbnail, but when I think of her in that mask, that dark authoritarian image. Thank you, John Thomas. Two more guys. Tina Guzman for $2. Thank you, Tina. Says, I love the channel. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much for supporting Deprogrammed. I appreciate you guys more than you know. Savrix for $19.99. Thank you, Savrix. Says, Keri, brain bulb. Okay. Brain bulb, I suggest you're more than wise enough to know what the information I've shared throughout the months is infinitely worth more than the money I've sent. Oh, thank you very much for the compliment. Brain bulb. I like those emojis. Okay. I want to show you some of the history on this joy thing. Because we've looked at the clips, we've looked at just a sampling of the hundreds and hundreds of headlines about this new joy, this joy we're supposed to be, trust us, there's joy, there's joy, there's joy. By the way, one quick thing about how propaganda works. So two things. It's not only true that the regime is sending out these psyops, this propaganda, these talking points to the media and to celebrities, and that they're all repeating it. That is true. They get their talking points and they go to work. That is true. But the other thing that's true, oh my goodness, I think I just lost my train of thought on the other thing that's important. Oh no, I have so many things open and that I wanted to show you, and oh well, it doesn't matter. It'll come to me in a second. It usually does. Okay, let's share this. Let's talk about strength through joy, and then I'll come back to that. So we're going to Wikipedia as a source, which I've mentioned before. Leftists, one of the things that leftists are taught to do, so that, and I was taught this, is even though they're not told what it's called. They're not like, it's not like they set you down when you're in the woke and they teach you like, hey, I'm going to teach you today. I'm going to teach you different genetic fallacies that you can use to shut down conversation or to keep you from looking at facts or engaging with differing opinions. They don't tell them that. They don't say, hey, this is a fallacy you can use and here's what it's called. They just teach it to them. It's praxis, right? They just teach them to do this. And so one of the things they do is they engage in genetic fallacy. And genetic fallacy is where you, instead of looking at the facts presented, you look at the source and you look to see if it's a source that's on your bad list. So you can just immediately attack the source and not even look at the facts. That's what they do. And so I like to use sources that they can't immediately come after with genetic fallacy. And one of the sources they love, mostly because they do all the editing there and the censoring there, is Wikipedia. So let's look at Wikipedia. Strength through joy. This was a German phrase in Nazi Germany. Okay. It was this organization, I'm not going to even try to say this in German. I need my husband here because he speaks German. I wish he were here to read this. It was a German leisure organization in Nazi Germany. It was part of the German Labor Front, the National Labor Organization at that time. This was their logo here on the right. They were formed in November of 1933. It was set up in November of 1933 as a tool to promote the advantages of Nazism to the German people and internationally. So this was this was a bunch of Nazis, fascists, naming themselves Strength Through Joy. That was their name. Sounds very Orwellian, doesn't it? Sounds a lot like what the Kamala Harris campaign's doing. To promote the advantages of Nazism to the German people and internationally, while also being utilized to ease the process of the rearmament in Germany. Through its structure of organized events and promotion of propaganda, it was also intended to prevent dissident and anti-state, that means anti-government behavior. By 1939, it had become the world's largest tourism operator. KDF is Strength Through Joy. KDF was composed of several departments with their own specific goals, with each department organizing different leisure activities. It organized activities such as sporting events on factory floors, art exhibitions, discounted concerts, and most famously and popularly, it subsidized holidays and cruise trips. Look at all this joy that they spread, right? The Nazis. The communists, the Democrats, the media, the corporations. Look at this. This is wild. One of its largest departments, although sometimes considered a separate organization altogether, was Beauty of Labor. Beauty of Labor. What does that remind you of? If you say, drop in the comments what that reminds you of. I want to know if we're thinking about the same thing, and I've got something pulled up to show you. I want to know if we're thinking the same thing. What is naming the department Beauty of Labor, which concerned itself with physical and sanitary improvements to the workplace? KDF was responsible for the improvement of several factories and sports facilities through its operations in the 1930s. KDF was supposed to bridge the class divide by making middle-class leisure activities available to the masses. It also sought to bolster the German tourist industry, something it did successfully up until the outbreak of World War II, up until it was time to pay the consequences for their actions. Joy. Strength through joy. What do these remind you of? Strength through joy and Beauty of Labor. What do those remind you of? I want to see what you guys said in the chat, if it's the same as what I have pulled up. Let me see. Robert Lawyer says labor camps is what comes to mind. Somebody says, Davina says, work makes one free, which was one of the slogans. Work makes one free. Marx says it reminds him of Marx, work to create the world in your image. Dan says communism. Yes. Lisa, beauty of labor sounds like a cover-up to enslave the populace. Yes. The signs over the labor camps, says someone. Yes. Let me see, though. It's not the specific one I'm thinking of. Bush says it reminds him of the Inflation Reduction Act. Yes, these are all Orwellian things. Well, I just gave it away. I was thinking of Orwell. Yes. That's what I was thinking of. But, all of these things are right. It's amazing what comes to mind for everyone. I was thinking of Orwell and 1984 and the way that they named the ministries. Do you guys remember the ministries in the book 1984, in this dystopian futuristic novel, right? They named the ministries, these different parts of this new totalitarian government. They named them the opposite of what they are. It's just like Kamala Harris. It's just like the Democrats, the sociopaths, the narcissists, the psychopaths, the Marxists, the communists, the fascists. This is all the same thing. We're talking about human darkness. It's all the same darkness with different faces and different names and different words at different times in history. But it is the same darkness that keeps coming back, that we keep fighting, because human nature doesn't change. And there are always going to be humans who fall into this evil place, who push evil, who push societal evil, and who do it in the name of good, who wear this mask and do it in the name of good. They do this evil while accusing their targets of evil. They do this evil by cloaking themselves falsely in good and joy. It's the same people that Nietzsche was writing about in Tarantulas. I think he even used the word joy in that. I need to pull that up and read that too. Anyway, in Orwell in 1984, he's writing about the same thing. The same thing. And in this dystopian futuristic novel, what did the government call their 4 branches? They had the Ministry of Truth. The Ministry of Truth was all about lies. It was all about propaganda. They edited history, much like the left, much like their corporate media overlords are doing right now, going back and censoring and rewriting articles about Kamala, going back and editing out where they called her the border czar, for example. That's happening right in front of our eyes. They're doing it. They're like Winston Smith in 1984, just editing history. The Ministry of Truth, which was all about spreading lies and propaganda, like the modern left. Ministry of Truth. Sounds a lot like the beauty of labor, right? Remember the other 3 ministries? There was the Ministry of Peace, which was about launching war. Leftists, I know you haven't read this. Go read it. This is one of those books that you leftists buy and you put it on your bookshelf and you never read it, but you like for guests to see it. I know you haven't read it. There's no way you could read this and be this clueless about what's happening around you. Ministry of Peace, which was all about launching war. The Ministry of Love, which was, do you know what they did at the Ministry of Love? They tortured people. That's where they took the dissidents. That's where they took the deplorables and the MAGAs and the Trumpers, and they tortured them at the Ministry of Love. This doesn't sound a lot like the modern left to you? Doesn't sound like the Nazis to you? Like the communists to you? You are the bad guys. You are the baddies. You are the baddies. I used to be one of you. There is life outside of that dark cult that you're in. The Ministry of Plenty. That was the 4th ministry. The Ministry of Plenty in Orwell's 1984 was about starving people. All of this reminds me of beauty of labor and strength through joy. So, Rosmix, they have convinced themselves that they are the victims in 1984. I know, they're so brainwashed. It's not rational. It's not reasonable. It doesn't make any sense once you get out of it. But see, we're looking at it, all of us who are awake, And again, that's a very broad description. When I say people who are awake, I just mean people who are not in that cult. You might be in a different cult. I don't know, because it's a very broad description. There's a lot of us who are not in that woke world. Some of us used to be in it. Some of us are apostates who left it. Hello to my friend Kelly, who's a fellow apostate who left it. She was just on our Wednesday night Christian panel. I love that lady. I'm so happy she came. Yeah, so that some of us are apostates who left it. Some of you guys were never in it. You're lifelong conservatives. Some of us are atheists. Some of us are Christian. Some are Muslim. Some are Hindu. Some of us are classical liberals. Some are libertarians. Some are conservatives. Some are Republicans. It's all different kinds of people who are awake. But once you're out of that cult, or if you were never in it, it's easy to look at it, Brosmix, and to say that doesn't make any sense. They envision them. They're on the side of the evil regime. They're on the side of the corporations and the government and the celebrities, Hollywood, the media, big social, big pharma, all of it. They're on the side of evil, and they don't see it. They think they're the resistance. That's crazy. Yeah, because what we're doing is looking at a cult from the outside, and it always looks crazy from the outside. I love cult documentaries and books, and I read about any and every cult. I will watch a documentary about it. I'm fascinated by it because no matter how different cults are from one another, they all have some similar characteristics. And by understanding cults better, it's easier to understand woke, because woke is, I would say, the biggest, the largest, most popular cult operating at this moment in time in history. They all have some things in common. One of the things is that when you're in the cult and you're not operating with reason or with rationality or with science, you don't even realize it. You're repeating the things that the cult leaders tell you to say, like weird, this week, joy, the cult leader gives you these directives, threat to our democracy, and you just go. A lot of cults, here's some things they have in common. They redefine words. Woke does that. They redefine words. Woke redefines woman, racism, sexism, harm. They redefine words constantly. Look at those crazy pronouns we looked at the beginning. Look at front hole. They redefine cervix. Oh, front hole. They redefine and rename things. They come up with their own cult dictionary. Woke is such a big cult. I don't know if we've ever seen a cult this big. Normally with the cult, we think of small ones like the Manson family or Jim Jones, right? Or we think of Heaven's Gate. They don't have this massive international cultural dominance. So we don't interact with their crazy dictionaries usually. We don't have to. It's not forced on us. This cult is currently running politics, corporations, media, journalism, entertainment, education, academia, social media, medicine. This cult's running everything right now. This is a huge cult. That's why they're pushing front hole on us. That's why you hear these cult phrases. Toxic masculinity, white fragility. Hoo-hoo. My pronouns are hoo-hoo. You'd have to be really isolated not to have felt the influence of my old cult, of the woke cult in 2024. It has touched you in some way, unfortunately. Here's the thing. Lisa says they are in control. They are in control of all these things currently, yes. But they are not in control on the level that matters. This is what I believe. I'm a Christian. God is in control. And there's a Bible verse that says, you intended to do me harm, but God intended it for good. God can use all things for good. God has his own timing. Even just on the micro scale, not the mass scale, but the micro scale in my personal life, I've seen this is true. I have seen God take things that were bad or evil or bad things that happened to me, or bad things I did, or bad things from my past, or when I was a kid, things that happened to me. God has taken, he can take any kind of bad and use it for good. It doesn't mean that it's not a bad thing. It is, it's a bad thing, but he can show you, give you an opportunity to use that thing for good. And that's on a micro scale. Imagine what he can do on the mass scale. There is a reason these communists attack Christianity the way they do. This is constant from them lately. Constant. They attack Christianity overtly, and they try and subvert Christianity by falsely calling themselves Christians and claiming the name of Christ and cloaking their evil in God's name, which is the worst offense. Like they are using God's name while they try and justify mutilating and sterilizing children. They have the audacity to do that. It's perverted. It's dark and evil. The reason they attack Christianity overtly and also try and subvert it from the inside, destroy it from the inside, the reason they do that is because Christianity is the biggest threat. Communism, Marxism is a faith system. It is a belief system. And the antidote to that is believing in God, believing in truth, having a solid foundation in something, in absolute truth, absolute morality that doesn't come from you, that doesn't come from the government, from other people, that comes from God, from the divine. So you can't, it's harder. People still will, but it's harder for you to use your, our ability for evil. It's harder for us to use that to get around God's truth, to get around what God has laid out as what is good and what is bad, good and evil, what's moral and what's not, right? They have to attack Christianity. They have to. James Lindsay, who's an atheist, he's talked about this too. He agrees with this, and he's an atheist. He's like, they have to attack your belief in God, because if you put God at the top of your hierarchy of values, if you worship God, well, then they can't get you to worship communism. They can't get you to worship government. If you love and fear God more than anything, then they can't get you to love and fear government more. They have to attack God. They have to attack Christianity and your faith. That's why this is happening. They are threatened. That's what I'm trying to say. And they are foolish. Therese says, hey, why don't we not mock someone's faith, guys? Was somebody doing that? I don't care. Joyless people. Oh, I see it. John Bertram. Oh, give religion a rest, Keri. I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about God. And no, I won't give God a rest. Jesus saved my life. God is the reason for my joy. God is who I look to for absolute truth. God is who I look to for morality. And I'm not usually this sharp and pointed with atheists, because I have a lot of friends who are atheists and I understand it. I mean, I was atheist for a long time, or agnostic, but I lived like an atheist. But I'll be pointed with you, Mr. John Bertram. You don't have anything upon which to point to and say, this is where my morality comes from. This is where absolute truth comes from. There's nothing. You have no foundation. I don't respect that. I usually am not so critical, like I said, because usually my atheist friends anyway, they're my friends, so they're not disrespectful and disgusting like you just were. But since you were that way, then I don't owe you any respect. So I'll be honest with you. It's so funny. You guys never think that we think that about you. Like, I think I have no respect for you. I have respect for my friends, so I won't talk to them this way. But I have no respect for your moral relativity, your belief in nothing, Mr. John Bertram. But say what you want in the chat. I don't care. La Familia says political ideologies are just crippled religions. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Communism and Marxism, it is a faith. It is a religion. It's crippled because it doesn't have God at the top. It's crippled because it's got government at the top. Because it's a false religion. Mark, you don't have to be critical of atheism to assert God. That's true. That's true. And I'm usually not pointed about it, but I can talk about it with my atheist friends without that kind of pointedness that I think I just did with Mr. John. No, but my point, Mark, is here's what I don't understand. And this is how I talk about it with my atheist friends. I actually don't understand anymore. I've never had someone without a belief in God explain to me where they get their sense of right and wrong of morality from. Like, where does it come from? Upon what does it rest? Or their opinion in absolute truth? And maybe that would be a good, I've had some of these conversations before, like with friends offline. Maybe that would be good. You know who I should have on for this? I just saw some of the Atheism for Liberty guys, the libertarian atheists, at a wedding I was at. And we had talked about doing a show together. That'd probably be a good one, because I have this conversation with people like that offline all the time, and it might be good to do one on camera to kind of model how that can happen without being insulting towards each other, like a Mr. John Bertram was. Yeah, that would be cool. Okay, thanks. All of this was good. Look, John Bertram, God just used that. You intended to harm me, but God used it for good, because now I'm going to talk to this guy, Atheist for Liberty, to come on and we'll do this conversation. You just reminded me I should do that. Okay, I'm making a note. So, look, God used that evil for good. I'm just teasing you, John. Okay. Michael Collier for $4.99. Thank you. Says, critical question: Texas or South Carolina barbecue? There is a correct answer, and all future support depends on it. Oh my goodness, Michael. Oh man, you might shame me. I'm going to tell you what I think, though. Of course, I like Texas barbecue better. I don't know if that's the wrong answer for you. I know I'm from South Carolina, but I prefer Texas barbecue to South Carolina barbecue and North Carolina barbecue. The brisket's amazing. There's all different kinds of barbecue here. It's not just like the shredded pork kind with either mustard based or vinegar based, which I love. I love that too. I love North Carolina and South Carolina barbecue. It's just Texas barbecue is like so much meatier. There's so much more to it, and there's so many different kinds. And you can get sausage links or brisket and ribs, and really, I love the brisket. I think that's it. So tell me if that's right or wrong. I don't know what your answer is. Humdrum Superior for $10 says, my childhood friend thinks his problems can be solved by being trans. Ugh. Thank you for the suggestion of the book Critical Dilemma. It's helped me a lot, and I hope I can use it to help him too. God bless. Oh, that's so encouraging. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat. Yes, there's 2 books that we read recently in book club that are amazing. Critical Dilemma by Neil Shenvi and Pat Sawyer. That book is great because I'll tell you about the two books just briefly. Critical Dilemma is great. It's from a Christian perspective, and it's about the entirety of woke and social justice. This is how I would describe it. And what's great about it is that the first half of the book, they lay out everything. They try and just basically lay out everything about woke, all the different dimensions of identity, and like define it for what it is. And they also talk about the things that woke gets right. There are a few things, because in every big lie, there's a kernel of truth that they start with, and they build all these lies around it, right? So they acknowledge that, which is great. So it gives you examples for when you're talking to a woke person about things that you can say, well, hey, we both agree on XYZ, right? Like that something obvious, like our country has a racist past, yes, like or a sexist past. Like there are things in it about history that you can say, yes, I agree with you on this, right? So they do that. And then the second half of the book, they give you a Christian arguments, not just arguments against woke, but they try and show you how a Christian belief system is better. And so you don't have to be a Christian to get something from the book. It's not always, especially the part where they are defining what woke is. You definitely don't need to be a Christian for that part. And if you're an atheist, you might find the Christian arguments against woke to be very valuable also. So anyway, that book's amazing. And also the other one that we read was Queering the American Child. And that one is by Logan Lansing with some work in it by James Lindsay. And that one's much more specific, and it's not from a Christian perspective. And it's very specific because it's specifically about the trans part, excuse me, and the queer part of woke, of social justice, about queer theory. So these are both great books. I highly recommend them. Oh, Brahma Bull says Texas barbecue is the best. Texas, yes. Michael Collier says you lose. Oh no. Michael Collier, I hereby invite you. If you are ever visiting Texas, you can come and visit with me and my husband, and we will take you to the best barbecue in a little tiny town. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's the best barbecue. And then you tell me if you still believe Carolina barbecue is better. That's pretty funny. Yes, Brahma, less vinegar, more smoke. Wrong, Michael Collier. Where's my guy to be like, Keri, give barbecue a rest. Savrix for $1.99. Thank you, Savrix. Says someone get me a membership for a day. Wow. Randy Wallen, never in it and proud for $2. Thank you, Randy. He was never in woke. I know Randy personally. He was never in the cult I was in. I know there are some of you in the audience who were not, in the chat who were not. Michael Collier for $4.99. Oh, that's the barbecue question. I can't help it, Michael. I like the Texas barbecue. I like all. Oh, Saverick says someone got me a membership. Cool. Well, we got a couple membership fairies here, so John Bursham. Sorry, Keri. I still love to. Who's to? I'm kidding. That's okay, dude. Hey, I was just teasing you by the end part anyway. But that's cool that we can disagree. And just so you know, though, I can't give God a rest. Do you understand? God, anyway, I can't. That's like asking me to just like disavow everything that gives me life. So I did keep it to the end, the Christian perspective. You know, most of this episode was just about the Kamala Joy stuff. John Bertram, you also have an invitation if you're ever in Texas to go to barbecue with me and my husband. But we're going to take you to a Jesus barbecue. It's going to be a Christian barbecue. I'm kidding, man. Channel Julio for $4.99. Thank you, sir. Says the Nazis had Kraft Dirk Freud, strength through joy. Oh, is that how you pronounce it? Thank you. Strength through joy, KDF. The Dems have Freud, Dirch, Kamala. Strength through Kamala. I like that. Thanks, Channel Julio. And then Maggie Ellis for $4.99. Sorry to have missed it live. I'll enjoy the replay. Cool. I always remember you, Maggie, because you're a cool avatar. Yes, asking Keri. That's what John doesn't get. No offense, John. And I'm sorry I got a little pointed with you there earlier too. But yes, asking me to ignore God's like asking me to stop breathing. So he says, I'll be there. Good. And we're having Texas barbecue. Okay, I think I'm gonna wrap this up. I got a 2-hour bladder and coming up on 2 hours, so I gotta go. Thank you for being here. If you like the show, please consider hitting like or leaving a comment. The comments help the algorithm. We are simulcasting over on Rumble if you guys don't like YouTube and want to watch there instead. And hello, Jacob. I see you over there at Rumble. I sometimes forget to mention that we're doing that. If you're in Texas tomorrow, my husband's band, Los Diablos Tejanos, has a show at the historic Odeon Theater in Mason. It's going to be a wonderful show. It's a beautiful old theater. So come check it out. You can get more info at anthonygarciamusic.com. And if you are in Texas and you've never been to Mason, let me just tell you, we stopped in this town once. It's so cool. It's like a lot of Texas towns. It has a town square and lots of cool little antique shops. And they have a shop that's like, I got a picture of it somewhere. It's like breakfast, but they also sell guns and ammo. And so on their plate glass window, they have stuff painted. It's like biscuits and gravy, guns and ammo. It's so Texas. I love it. I was like, wow, this is great. It's like this old small town diner. I hope that's still there. That was there when we visited. And then the other crazy thing about it was in the middle of town, they had like this old jail. A lot of Texas towns have the county courthouse and jail and stuff in the center of town. So they had this old jail that's like hundreds of years old. It was like stone, and we're looking at it thinking this is a tourist landmark, right? A historical landmark. And so I'm posing, like, take a picture in front of the old jail. And then, but from behind the old, like, I'm telling you, like out of a Disney cartoon, the metal bars, we see some hands and there's a person in there, and they still use this old jail. And it was just so bizarre. I don't know. I thought it was kind of interesting. Where you're going to put the criminals? Why not put them in the old fashioned jail rather than some new, mental hospital looking place? But it just kind of was odd because it's right there. It's got a plaque in front of it. It's like you're looking at like a historical landmark, and you don't expect there to be actual prisoners in there. And there are. So if you come to Mason for this show and you've never been there before, anyway, long story short, get there early enough to see all the stuff around the town square. It's like I said, antique shops, cool little shops, this interesting jail, and then the Odeon Theater. Okay, I'm going to see you guys later. I'll see you on Monday at our regular time. Unless I announce otherwise, I'll see you on Monday at our regular time. And thank you guys for being here. Okay, let's run this advertiser again. But first, a word from our sponsor. Today's Deprogrammed episode is brought to you by exercise. That's right. Regular exercise has been shown to help boost energy levels and enhance your mood. It may also be associated with many other health benefits, both physical and mental, including a reduced risk of chronic disease. Exercise is defined as any movement that makes your muscles work and requires your body to burn calories. There are many different types of exercise, including walking, running, swimming, tennis, weightlifting, and breakdancing, to name a few. Exercise may even help you live a longer and more fulfilling life. And the best of all, it's absolutely free. That's right. If you're listening to this, you can benefit from exercise for absolutely free. All you need to do is go outside and run or walk to enjoy all the physical, mental, and spiritual benefits of exercise. And for an unlimited time, don't forget to think my promo code, Thank You God, to enjoy all the added psychological benefits of practicing gratitude at no extra cost.